Okay, we are live. And welcome to the Node.js Node-API meeting February 23rd. And we are going to start with our regular agenda. And the first item is just towards full coverage. I recall that Gabriel has opened a PR in Node add-on API to generate coverage report. And I believe it is, yeah, this one. It is rich. I
Yes,
think
because before I left several months ago, I was working with Jack um, to use the CodeCov service to upload the coverage, and all of my attempts have yielded less than 60% coverage. And I'm not sure why that's happening because both Gabe's local run shows above 90. And I remember when Jack did it, his was also above 90. Um, and I just really don't know what's going on. If you click on the link that says new PR,
you mean this one?
no, not that one. It's the second to last sentence.
Second play,
Yeah,
this one.
that one.
Okay.
Because this is on my org local Node add-on API, and this link here at the bottom shows coverage with optimizations disabled, which I would think would have, high coverage. But this one has, here we see 58%. And then the one with optimizations had like 63 or something. And what this branch is, it's based off of Gabe's branch. So the way that coverage is created is the same as Gabe's. It's just using XML format and uploading it to the service. So I don't know why it's reporting such a difference in coverage. Maybe it's the way that the service calculates the percentage or the lines covered or anything or something like that. Um, because a lot of the tests that we have, it tests all of this stuff. And I'm not exactly sure what the yellow represents partially covered. I don't know what that means. And green means covered, and red means obviously uncovered. Um, maybe maybe it's counting this like the definition of the line where it says template class, maybe that's considered a line. And since it's not covered and it can never be because it's just part of, the declaration, I really don't know what's going on. Um, and that's sort of where I am now with this is just kind of confused. I do have a Linux machine with WSL. So what I may do next is try running the report or the coverage locally and then upload it manually. And then when I run the coverage, I'll get the HTML coverage so that I can see the percentage and then look at the XML coverage and upload that and see if there's a difference. I think that's really the next step that I can make, and then I'll just report my findings from that.
Yeah, so it's given that there are so the next step would be to verify the generated cover coverage report locally to see on covered branches. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll run it locally, and then also upload the generated report to CodeCov because I think you can also upload it manually and then see if there's a discrepancy, a difference between the two. Like if the local HTML report shows 90 plus, like it does with Gabe's, and then when I upload the XML and it shows again 60 something, then I can only assume that it's just based off of how the service calculates the coverage lines.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Oh, yeah. I'm going to post that reflect report the
mhm,
status. Okay, sounds good. Seems we are moving forward with this issue. Thank you.
mhm,
Yeah, I think it, it might be um manual check that if, like say, we can check if these red lines are actually um invoked in the test, right? Because we can verify that if we
mhm.
used this or
If you go back to the PR, yeah, this one. Um, let's see, this sentence here, this gave me a 61% coverage. What I found interesting, if you click that see outline link,
this one.
yep. So this says that this line was not covered, right? Because it's in red. Now, if you go back
Yeah,
to the PR and click the next link, which says yet is present inside the CI's action run log.
yeah, yeah, right.
There is the statement being executed. So when I saw this happening, then I was really confused as to why. I mean, we see it here, but it's not being reported.
I have a theory, so
Mhm,
think it's a templated function. So while it can be covered from one type, it may be not covered for another type because technically, when we compile template function, we have effectively one instance with each function for each template type we use. So it
mhm,
may happen that there's no coverage for one specific type somewhere else.
mhm, mhm.
And if say we have a test and we're using for some tests we're using one type, for some other tests another type, technically.
Right. I mean, I would hope then that like as long as any type would cover that line, it would be marked as covered, but I don't that may be the case.
So
And
I suspect it's
when I do the manual local testing and I'll report back on that and see what happens.
and I wonder if it's there can be some settings or something else for this
Right, right.
framework.
'Cause I didn't look into any of that, the service settings. I just, created the project and let it go. So yeah, I'll look into the settings as well. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah, this is kind of weird because it's actually being code. So yeah, let's see how your investigation would goes,
Yep.
and let's move forward to the. Is there anything to discuss on this issue?
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Let's move forward to the next item, and I think because Michael is not here, and I don't think there is anything new on this one.
Can you go back to that
And
one actually and go to the
oh
last?
yeah,
'Cause I'm
sure.
not sure where this is. If we're going to describe representative based on I see. Okay. See. Okay. Thank you.
Is there anything new on this one?
I don't think so. I'm surprised that it's still open, but I guess this last comment does have an action item, so that makes sense then.
Yeah, maybe we can close this one if there is nothing left to do. And let's verify with Michael next time.
And
Yep.
actually, Jason mentioned that we're working on this Node.API.NET. I just want to say we have effectively new link for that because we moved this project under Microsoft. Um,
Well, yeah, I think it would be a good idea to add the .NET .NET implementation on this on on the is this one? I don't think
mhm.
so. Oh yeah, yeah. It's you. We can add the project here.
No, I think
I
it
believe
sounds,
it is this
yeah,
one,
it's
right?
correct link. It's correct link. Yes. Okay. That's okay.
Okay, great.
Microsoft. Oh, okay.
So it seems like that .NET has been recorded in our document, and we should be able to move forward with it. Yeah, sounds
Right. We're
great.
working towards kind of full release, so there's some cleaning up work going on in this project.
Okay, thank you. So seems like we should verify if we have any left actions to do on this issue. If not, we can close this one.
Yeah, I would prefer
And
to close because technically we already have page. We just simply can augment it as some news coming.
yeah,
Yeah, because this action item seems a little off. The last action item seems a little off topic from the task of this, which is, add list of non-C language bindings. We completed that. This next action item talks about making documentation on how to create your own wrapper, which is a little different. So we can check with Michael next week.
yeah, of course.
I think the purpose what Nick was mentioning there, like then we're kind of doing some bindings with other languages, like what did with .NET. There are some things we need to step through. There are some issues we have to work around, and I think he had it in context of Java, I believe, or some other managed languages.
Mm, okay.
Let's move on.
Well, let's see. Let's see the next items on the agenda. I
Mhm.
believe we have to wait for Michael on this one. And let's see, still issues in Node.js API. Well, it seems we don't. The only left items in this issue thread is right samples
Yes, I
about
still didn't do
object
it.
wrap.
I should
Yeah,
do.
no problem. Never mind. So if let's and when done list issues, I believe this one can be closed because we already covered every items in this list, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of feel
title
like
loop. Yeah,
this
sorry,
is sort
please
of
go ahead.
like an issue that we were supposed to sort of keep adding things to, but I don't think that ended up being the case. I don't know of um any outstanding things, but again, I haven't been following this.
Well, yeah, but let's see. This last item should be covered by the pure finalizers we just recently implemented. So let's
Yes, we talked about this last week, and Michael said he wants to keep this open until the pure finalizers is no longer experimental.
yeah, right. I see. Good idea. So
Mhm.
let's leave it here. And this one, well, and sorry, but I don't have any free time in the last few weeks because I was on holiday, so I don't have any updates on this performance investigation. And what's new? I think we should close this 2023 version and open a new 2024 list, right?
That makes
So
sense.
Or rename it. It's easy.
yeah, let's see.
Mm. Yeah, I would prefer to close it and not rename just so that we have this one issue that would cover all of 2023 in case we want to
Well,
do some sort of
yeah,
reporting.
yeah, but is there anything left for us to do with the for list? Like, say, should we publish a blog post or anything else about the what's new list? I
The
don't
only
remember there is
thing
any convention.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of was like sometimes when we have conferences, we would, have a slide or two that says what's new or what's been changed. And I can see us using this issue as some guidance for that. But I don't think we need to make like a blog post or anything. I don't think I personally don't feel like we do, but others may feel otherwise.
Well, anyway, let's open the
Hmm.
2024 version.
Yep.
Can we add the link back to this 20.3
Yeah,
issue? So if somebody wants to.
Hmm.
and I'm going to add this one to the milestone so that we can check it every time we have the meeting.
Very nice. Yep.
Okay, great. So let's move forward with the issue list. Let's first take a look at Node API. Well, I believe this one is new.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm. Yeah, I remember reading this one briefly. Um, Async worker. To me, it seems like any of those three proposed options that he has at the top should work fine.
well, yeah, I believe if they want to keep a object alive or a uint 8 array object alive, an object reference would be the solution, right?
Right, because I guess if you just pass the pointer, it could be the case that the owning object could get garbage collected, so it should be put in a reference.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess the key question is async worker thread has access to allowed to be accessed to all these JavaScript objects or not.
It can access JavaScript in the, let's say, on OK callback and on error callback, but it cannot access in the execute callback. But the so basically, it basically an async worker if an async worker have access to a row memory or an uint 8 array, it should retrieve the row memory address at the constructor of the async worker and keep an object reference to the uint array so that the row memory will not be released. The problem is that you cannot access any API and any Node API in the execute callback, so it will not be possible to retrieve the row memory of the uint 8 array in the execute callback. So you have to retrieve it beforehand.
Right. Right.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, we're not allowed to change ref counting from different thread. So we also need to be very careful there.
I'm sorry, what ref content do you refer to?
Like if you have like a object reference, right? Like we're not allowed to kind of copy, I guess, this object reference.
Well,
This
generally, there is no API that is safe to be coded
right.
in a different thread, which is the case of the execute callback because it is run on the UV worker thread. But the only API that you can use is there's a function send data. So yeah, we cannot copy the object reference in the execute callback as well. So we have to retrieve the raw data pointer in, let's say, in the async worker constructor
Right.
or anywhere else on the JavaScript thread.
Right. So in the constructor, he could take the reference and then hold on to the reference as a member, and then also have a pointer of the raw data as a member. And in the constructor, set the pointer to the raw data, and then I think it should just be fine. And then he uses the pointer for the raw data in the execute method.
I guess another
Yeah.
question is who owns this buffer, buffer for array, for typed array? If it's owned by V8, then I'm not sure if it's safe to keep a reference to it, to this raw memory. Can garbage collector move it or not?
Um, the well,
If
the issue here is that you have to keep an object reference to the uint8 array, which should not be the uint array because it can be detached. You should keep an reference to an array buffer object, which represents the raw date raw memory. But I think there is no way that you can detach. But it is possible that you can detach the raw memory from an array buffer object. So yeah, it can be unsafe in such capacity. But I mean, if the owner of the async worker can make sure that the semantics on the array buffer object it receive, then it can guarantee this buffer is safe to use across
Hmm.
the lifetime of the async work. But if it is not possible to, like say, to ensure this your int array is owned by the async worker, which means the caller or the caller of the async worker can still access the your int array, then it may detach the underlying memory of the the int array that the async worker can receive. So yeah, it is right. The implementation of the async worker has to be aware that the data raw memory address may be invalid, even if it keep a reference to the your int array object.
Right. So under normal circumstances, it would be fine unless somebody explicitly, did I just see balloons? Sorry, unless somebody explicitly does something to the buffer, which, like if you explicitly change the buffer, then yeah, things may break. But under normal circumstances, it should be fine.
Yeah, but I believe we should mention this possible
Yeah.
case in to
Mhm.
yeah. It should be possible to keep the raw memory of a new int array alive across the lifetime of an async worker by using object reference to the array, but it is still in case that if where the caller of the async worker still have access. Well, I think that I'm not sure if we see if we can detach the rebuffer so that oh no, it should be used together with an API create external rebuffer. That means the rebuffer is not valid after the detachment. So basically, I can see that we have no way in Node API that we can keep a reference to the about sorry the name of the yeah, I mean there is no way for us to keep a reference of the backing store of a rebuffer. So
Do you need to keep a reference to the backing store, or could you just keep a reference to the array buffer?
I mean the backing store can be detached from a rebuffer, and if you keep a reference to the rebuffer, the backing store can still be detached by, like, say, web API or
Hmm.
a new JavaScript API, which is introduced in the latest ECMAScript that you can detach and detach the underlying memory from an rebuffer object. So yeah, it will be much safer if we can keep a reference to the backing store instead.
Hmm. Is that something that's possible currently?
Um, Yeah, the new JavaScript API is called error buffer transfer. So it's like say PC39 array buffer transfer. It's a new API, so it's a stage 3 API, but I believe the engine should have been implemented the proposal already. So you can transfer means you can create a new array buffer from an existing array buffer, and the existing array buffer will be detached. The memory of the an existing array buffer will be detached, and the new created newly created array buffer would hold the access would hold the address to the original array buffer address. But if you can also specify a new byte length. It is greater than the original byte length, which means which is basically identical to realloc in the C and C++. So
Right.
yeah, it is already possible in pure JavaScript. And this semantics is widely used in the web APIs because for web APIs it has to ensure that when it receives an array buffer, no one can modify the content of an array buffer after the web API receives the array buffer. For example, in the fetch API or in yeah, I don't yeah, I mean there's
Okay.
a lot of use cases.
And well, I guess we can let the poster know that those same restrictions would apply if he does not want to copy the data, like don't make any changes to the array buffer, don't detach the data, don't transfer it, don't resize it. Otherwise, things will blow up.
Well, I think another solution can be introduce a new API, new Node API to retrieve a reference to the plugin store of an array buffer. But I'm not sure if it will be compatible across implementations of engines. So yeah, it is possible in Build anyway.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fetch from the array buffer.
I think there's also an NAPI, a Node API to detach the array buffer.
Um, yeah, I just checked that it is different. It has different meaning in
Okay.
Node.js detach because it simply removes the removes the um removes the memory from the array buffer object, but you cannot retrieve or keep a reference to the detached memory.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is only useful when the array buffer is created with an API create an external array buffer because you can make sure that you have the memory of the external array buffer um will not be released if you still need them after the detachment, right?
Hmm.
So
Okay.
um so I think um I think it will be more intuitive to introduce, like say, a new API, like say an API transfer or buffer, or an API um retrie- or retrieve a new reference, or retrieve a reference of the backstore. But I believe that API transfer buffer would be aligned with what ECMAScript can do, which can be one goal of the Node API design. So yeah.
Right. And like if the specification for JavaScript has this transfer in the array buffer prototype, then any JavaScript engine should be able to implement that, which means if there was a Node API for it, it should be fine too. I feel, yeah.
After during the work of the async worker, it check to the whole array buffer would be efficient. Not API such as API transfer.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
let's
if we
see.
had this
Yeah,
transfer API, then theoretically when they construct this async worker, they would transfer the buffer from the caller into here, and then they would be 100%, and then if it's private, then they know nothing would be able to touch it. Is that sort of the mentality here?
well, it means that, for example, we have a function of our API that receives an array buffer, and we are using the array buffer at in async pattern. So, and if someone called our API with an array buffer, and then it transfers or using the array buffer in any other web APIs, then our APIs would fail here because the array buffer is no longer valid. So
Right.
this means that if we
Right.
if we call array buffer transfer at the beginning of our API, then it will be always, because it is scoped in this function, it will not be able to be, like say, this statement will not affect how our API is
Right.
working, or like say anyway, because the on the array buffer is not accessible outside our API.
Right. That
It,
makes sense.
as long as we didn't make it visible to the outside world.
Right.
Let's see if this is what the original author is want. Yeah, they mentioned that they still want to access the raw data from GSI. So anyway, let's post this suggestion and see how they are how they think.
Looks good to me.
Let's see if there is any other issues. Well, for this one, I'm going to create a some major release in the next week. Because we already released a version that and included all the changes we have been working on in the past month. So, and we removed Node.js V16 support. So yeah, I believe it's good to go with the new some major release.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to discuss in the API report?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead with the Node.js core repo. I think this one is ready to go because yeah, it is being approved and the CI is green. Let's see, commit only one commit. Yeah, I believe we can add mid queue and
Yeah, everything
commit.
looked good. It was just a flaky, unrelated test that kept failing, and then Michael created a issue for the flaky test. So this one should be good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and this one is Gabriel's work on making the decisive function accept node API finalize again, which means in decisive function finalize, we can still call into any JavaScript. I think um it is pretty. I think it is good because it is eventually called in the. It is not called from the garbage collector. It is called by the close callback of the UV handle. So yeah, I think this reflects what the reality is. And please, it would be good if you can take a look on this podcast as well. And I believe, do you have any issue else to discuss on not core repo?
No.
Mm, Oh, yes. It's on the bottom of your page here. Extend Node API to libnode. I guess now it's in the middle. This yeah, that one. This is one that's been open for a while. We touched on it last week. Because I think Vladimir, you were sort of working a bit on this, but then the original owner kind of came back. So I sort of just want to know what the current state is for this. Because if I recall, your C# implementation might also need this
Yeah, we
library. I
have
remember it
quite
was.
a few samples and unit tests which actually require we have a lot of interest to finish it up, but unfortunately didn't have time to look at it again.
No
Yeah,
worries.
I should go back to it and help to kind of finalize this PR. I think it's quite important for us. We have a number of scenarios, and also I think we discussed about pipeline to build those stuff because technically today in Node.js we're not building it, and I think we can build it as a part of Microsoft work if you like. Yeah, let me look at it back. I'm kind of after all my applications.
Okay, thank you.
Then yeah, that's all that I have then.
And sounds great. Is there anything we can talk about in the core repo?
I have nothing.
Well, then that's the end of the meeting, and see you on GitHub, and see you next time on Node-API meeting next week. Thank you.
Alrighty, see you.
Bye-bye.